This report is part of a 7-report collection. The collection consists of a summary report that is retrospective and generalized in nature, as well as 6 more detailed chronicles of my experience with 6-apb, of which this is one. If desired, please see the summary report, where one can find links to each of the other experience reports. All dosages were prepared on a freshly calibrated milligram, 0.000 gram, scale. The chemical was sourced through a highly vetted chemist, and this batch was tested at a greater than 98% purity. An NMR analysis was completed and analyzed by a third-party chemist to verify the chemical was indeed 6-apb. All dosages were from the same batch of chemical. The substance was a medium light tan color and a very fine powder. A little background: I consider myself to be well versed in the realm of substance use. Previous experiences include opiates, stimulants and psychedelics. A fair amount of my substance usage history includes novel research chemicals, often in less than common combinations. This report was written using extensive notes as well as audio recordings taken during the experience. Take 1, an initial stretching of mental headspace. This is my first time ever taking this substance. During the week leading up to today, my substance intake has included daily cannabis and alcohol use in small amounts. The only recent usage of any other substance was etazolum when I took 2.5 mg 3 days ago. My state of mind is relaxed, without any tension or issues weighing on me today or in recent days. It is a sunny Saturday afternoon at my home. My only company for the experience is my partner Kai and trusty dog G. I have done fairly extensive research on this compound, and although I am trying, as I always do, to have no specific expectations, I have a general idea that I will be experiencing some classic empathogenic and potentially light psychedelic effects. The night prior to this experience I took a tiny amount of the 6-apb, 2 mg, as an allergy test, the result of which was negative. The morning of this experience I ate only a basic breakfast of 2 eggs and some toast. D+0. 12:34 p.m. I insufflate 9 mg of 6-apb that is crushed up as finely as possible. I debated between the insufflation and oral routes of administration. On one hand, I prefer insufflation in general as it avoids nausea, which I tend to encounter more frequently than the average person when using substances, while on the other hand, most reports online point towards oral as the more enjoyable and productive route. Within 60 seconds of insufflating, my right nostril has a notable burning sensation. This burning is not horrific, but it's not exactly a walk in the park either. Shortly after the burning, a drip is causing irritation at the very back of my throat. The irritation escalates to a burn when I swallow, and I think I can detect a bit of swelling in the area of irritation. I debate if the unpleasant drip is worse than the potential nausea and if I should eat the rest of my planned total dosage. I was aiming for between 30 mg and 40 mg. Knowing that I wanted to write this report, I decided to stick it out and continue with the insufflation method of ingestion. D+11 minutes. 12:45 p.m. I have prepared an additional 25 mg and insufflate into the same nostril as my initial dose. I follow up the powder with a small amount of water snorted into the nostril to assist in the rapidity and effectiveness of absorption. The irritation and unpleasant burning in the back of my throat increases only slightly as a result of the secondary dosage. I notice a small amount of sweat has formed on my face, causing my eyeglasses to slip down slightly. This seems directly correlated to the substance. D+28 minutes. 1:02 p.m. I am off baseline now. I was debating if I was feeling a placebo for the past few minutes, but I am now certain it's from the chemical I ingested. A prickling, tingling is rippling up and down my arms. I feel like my skin is vibrating ever so slightly. I am more alert now, my afternoon tiredness has evaporated. I feel no stimulant rush, rolling sensation or hyperfocus, only a lack of being tired. D+37 minutes. 1:11 p.m. Feeling more than just alert now, the first wave of euphoria has crept up on me and arrived in grand style. My body feels excellent, head to toes there is a light pulsing of pleasure. My mind feels relatively sober, no extreme lovey or empathetic feelings. I have a bit of surprise and concern at how high I am so soon after taking what I thought was a conservative dose. Along with the worry comes a twang of nausea in my stomach. I focus on slow breathing for a minute and give my dog G some pets on her ears and head. Whoa! Tactile sensations are superb. While my dog does have a smooth and soft coat of fur, in my current state her ears feel like the finest velvet material. My upper body feels like I have goosebumps. I don't, but the sensation is there, like all my hair is standing on end. It almost feels as if the air is extra cold and the glowing warmth within my body is causing this unusual sensation where the two forces collide on my skin. I find myself rolling my shoulders up every minute or so, almost involuntarily to shake and shimmy away the shivering. My thoughts turn sexual, I move to the bedroom for some personal time. Writing details on this section of the experience is not my style, so I will simply mention that my tactile sensations are dramatically expanded. The effects are certainly more physical than mental at this point in the experience. D+1 hours and 36 minutes. 2:10 p.m. A glass of water tastes like heaven, refreshing to a whole new level. I stretch out on the couch and write a bit about the experience thus far. My handwriting is worse now than it was at the beginning of my notes several hours ago. I have a barely perceptible tremor, shaking in my center 3 fingers of my right hand, most noticeable at the tips of my fingers. My mental headspace is stretching and morphing. This was not obvious earlier, but now I feel slight psychodysleptic characteristics. A light pressure circulates around and through my brain. This is an effect I do not commonly experience on empathogenic substances, even MDA. This is more of a tryptamine-esque feeling. When I try to focus on the change in my headspace, it slips away, only to surprise me again a few minutes later once I have been distracted. My thought patterns, topics are not majorly altered in any way. I am not overly chatty nor loving everything in the same way I might with MDMA, MDA or other stimulant substances. I am writing and doing some internet browsing while Kai is reading a book on the other end of the couch. I am completely content with our non-interaction at this point. I throw on some music, a selection of Monica tracks, and find the tunage to be enhanced, but I don't have extra motivation to get up and dance. I'm extremely comfortable seated, feeling some physical sedation now. The erratic shivers of pleasure from earlier are slowly being replaced by a tranquil body high. I do a double take at my handwritten notes. For a split second a face was looking up at me from within the shapes of my scratchy handwriting. It disappears but then reappears in the same spot upon another glance. The face is a two-dimensional, non-traditional smiley face that is about half an inch in diameter. It grins up at me for an instant before my eyes refocus and the words reappear in its place. I grin at this tiny example of physical patternicity. Beyond the face seen moments ago, my field of vision is largely unaffected, a bit of extra saturation and sensitivity to light. No breathing, morphing, wavering or other visual type effects. Nothing in the manner of closed-eyed visuals either. D+2 hours and 9 minutes. 2:43 p.m. I seem to be past the peak of the effects now, perhaps even sensing the beginning of the end. The overall shape of the experience has been more of a plateau than that of mountains and valleys. The intensity of the effects has been relatively consistent throughout the experience, without any sharp increases or decreases. D+2 hours and 55 minutes. 3:29 p.m. Well, I was wrong. I am still at the same level as the previous timestamp. D+3 hours and 11 minutes. 3:45 p.m. The extremity of the effects is in a definite downward trend now. I crack open a b-apb 12 fluid ounces 6.3% ABV. The cold is refreshing and the taste is delightful. I'm still dabbling with a bit of writing and doing some research online. I don't find it hard to focus, but I also am not locked in with any extra focus from the substance. D+4 hours and 28 minutes. 5:02 p.m. Effects have been steadily and rapidly declining. I have finished 2 beers now. I have a decent tolerance to alcohol and don't feel the effects of the drinks or notice any potentiation of the 6-APB effects. I vaporized 255 mg of an indica-dominant strain of cannabis, taking about 15 minutes to do so. For reference, this is roughly twice as much as my normal dose. D+5 hours and 18 minutes. 5:52 p.m. The sedation of the cannabis seems to be intertwining with the relaxing body high of the 6-APB, which has been brought back to life a bit now. I am starting to feel tired at this point. I am confident that I would be able to sleep on the tail end of 6-APB, similar to MDA. I have not had any desire to redose, which is noteworthy as I typically find myself dosing multiple times on similar substances. Content and comfortable, both mentally and physically, I decide to start snacking a bit. I'm hungry for the first time since breakfast, having had no desire to eat during the entirety of the experience. D+5 hours and 45 minutes. 6:19 p.m. I can't declare a true baseline due to the cannabis and alcohol consumption, but I'm certainly not feeling any effects from the 6-APB at this point. Conclusion. Additional notes. The effects of this experience have not been balanced. The increase in my sense of touch is radical, especially when compared to a lackluster increase in empathy. I'm curious to see if these effects even out at higher dosages, or if the tactile sensitivity will simply go through the roof at a dosage that really moves the emotional needle. There is not even a hint of anhedonia later in the evening or at any point throughout the days following the experience. As I predicted, natural sleep was not an issue after this dosage of 6-APB. No hangover effects, positive or negative, are experienced in the following days.